Okay, good morning and welcome to Just Daf as part of the greater Yeshiva YouTube. Today we're doing Nedarim Daf P Dalit, number 84, as we inch closer to the end of Masech Nedarim. Let's start from the top of P Dalit and Aleph 84a. We talked about yesterday, based on the Mishnah on Pei Gimel and Beis, whether the husband is part of the Brios or he's not part of the Brios. Is he part of mankind or is he part of... He's different. He's like Ishto Kagufo. He's like part of his wife. Asive Rav Rav Nachman. So Rav challenged Rav Nachman. So according to Rav Nachman, the husband is not called part of the Brios. Now the Mishnah says later on in this Masechta, and Tula Ani Min Yehudim. She says, I'm removed from the Jews. Now, this neder sounds like she's prohibiting all of the Jews from being together with her. Including her husband or not including her husband. So Yafar Chalko the Mishnah says that it includes him, it includes the husband. He's made for his chaylik. She can be together with him. Because it's definitely called Dvarim Shebeino Levina, it's between the two. But the hand of many Yehudim, however, she remains prohibited to all the other Jews, even after divorce. Right? So if you say husband is not part of the Brios, and when you say Yehudim, he wouldn't be part of Yehudim. He's different than everybody else. Nidra inu nefeshein. It's no longer a neder of beino lebeina, right? We're talking according to Rabbi Yossi, because this whole parak is Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi is the only thing which is called inu nefesh is answering food or fruits upon yourself. Tashmish Amita is called beino lebeina. So if he's not part of the Brios, right? So she didn't answer Tashmish on her husband. So when she says Netulam Yehudim, we can't interpret it to be, right? She says Netulam Yehudim, not her husband. So it can't mean that she's talking about in the bedroom and she's not going to have Tashmish Amita, because when she's married presently to her husband, she's forbidden to everybody else. So we'd have to interpret Netulam Yehudim to refer to something else. What does it refer to? Not getting benefit financially or from the food from everybody else. Included in financially is all the food that she would get from anybody else, and that is Inu Nefesh. And Inu Nefesh, the Afro Olam, it should work for everybody. Why Netula Ani Min Yehudim? He's here made for Chelko Mishamashto, right? She should be Inu Nefesh. The Hafara works not just for the husband, vis-a-vis the husband, but also vis-a-vis everybody else after she's divorced. So it must be that the husband is Bechal Brios, and it's talking about a neder of Tashmish Hamita. The Olam Emalach, the Marianta, Shiny Hacham, the Mukham, Milsadal, Hetera Kasa, and after really, may Rav Nachman say, the husband is not Bechal Brios, he's not part of the Yehuda. Nonetheless, even though it really doesn't make sense to say she's talking to Tashmish Hamita, because she's already forbidden to everybody else, nonetheless, it's still very Mukhach, it's very apparent that she's talking about, until Yehudim probably doesn't mean financially or eating fruits. It probably just means Tash Shamita, and she meant to ask her other people after she's divorced, after she was muteris to other people. The Mishnah stated, these are matnos aniyim, so therefore they're hefker, they belong to everybody, so she's not by benefiting from anybody, right? She says, I'm not gonna benefit from the brios, right? So if they have matnos aniyim, they leave over parts of their field, they're not allowed to take. She could take from them because she's not benefiting from them. Below Kasani, the Gemara notes, the Mishnah didn't say Maiserani. Why can't she also benefit from the Maiserani? Right? When you take off Trumas and Maestros from your crop during the first, second, fourth, and fifth year of Shemitah, instead of taking Maiser Sheni, which is during the third and sixth year, you take a Maiserani, which is really, right? It's like stucco, it's a hefker. Why can't she benefit from that? Tanya, the Brisa says of Maiserani. There's a Brisa which says not only Lekha Shekha Peyash can benefit from other people, but also Maiserani. Amar Rav Yosef answers Lo Kasha. The Mishnah and the Brisa are not a question on each other. Hara Belezer, Hara Bonan. One reflects the opinion of Belezer, and one reflects the opinion of Rabbanan. This nan, Machlokes. Belezer Omer, in Adam Sarach Likro Shem Maiser Ani Shal Demai. This is, I believe, from Demai, right? Makes sense. Part of Mesechus Demai. Demai is talking about where you have Trumas and Maestros, you have the crop of an Am Aretz. Somehow, a Chaver, someone who's stringent in taking off Trumas and Maestros, got the possession of the crop of an Amar. We're not sure if the Amar took off Shumas and Maisos or not. They're not makbid. The Gemara does say in one place that Rov Amar is Maiser from him. They do take off Maiser, but the question is, do we rely on that Rov or not? Chayshin and Liuta or not? It's Machlokes Rav and Abaye in various places. So, D'mai is a suffix. You talk about Shumas and Maisos. So, when it comes to Truma, you can't eat Truma. Suffix the rice al Chomer, you take off Truma, you don't eat it. You don't have to give it to a Kohen, but right. So what do you do with Meiser Ani? It's the first, second, fourth, or fifth year. Well, that just says you don't have to even say designate this as Meiser Ani. Shalom to mine. Chama Omrim Kol Rishim and Sarach Lahafresh. You have to actually designate something as Meiser Ani, which is 1/10 of the remaining, whatever is remaining in the crop. But you don't have to separate it. Now, the reason you don't have to separate it, according to both opinions, is because Amotzi Mechaber Olav Araya. The Aniyim can never prove that it belongs to Safek, right? If they want to take out the money from you, they have to prove that it really should be Meiser Ani. Maybe he took off Meiser Ani, and therefore I don't have to take off Meiser Ani. So therefore, it's Machlokes whether you have to be Koresh Shem or not. So what's the Machlokes? My love, Madamar Sfeiko Tovel, right? According to the one who says that if you have Safek whether Meiser Ani was taken off or not, that makes it Tevel, right? Kasavar is like Tuvasana, so therefore, which is basically the Cham's opinion, that you have to be Koresh Shem, right? If you have Safek Tevel. Now, the seeming simple explanation is that Tevel, as long as I didn't take off Truma or Meiser Rishon or Meiser Sheni or Meiser Ani, if I didn't take off anything, any one of these things, is Tevel. Tevel is Asr Midaraisa to eat, and the crop is Asr until you take off all the Trumas and Meiser. Now, let's say the Safek, the Mai is a Safek, whether the Trumas and Meiser or not. So, Safek, is that considered Tevel or not? So, when it comes to everything else was taken off, but we're not sure if Meiser Ani was taken off. So, it's Machlokes, the Gemara at this point assumes, whether Sveiko is so, with the Safek of Meiser Ani being taken off, does that render the rest of the produce Tevel or not? So, according to the Chamus, you have to be Koresh Shem. Obviously, you have to call it Meiser Ani. Safek is Tovel, right? That's why you have to call it Meiser Ani. So, therefore, it's taken off, all right? Meiser Ani is taken off, right? Because Savar, now, again, you don't have to be mafresh it. You can actually eat it, but you have to be Koresh Shem, because if you're not Koresh Shem, it's still Tevel. So, Sveko Tovel, because Savar is like Tuvas Hana, right? Must be that you have a monetary claim, right? When I have Meiser Ani, right? Can I say that I have two Aniyim come to me and say, I want your Meiser Ani? Can I say, okay, I'm going to give Meiser Ani. You pay me a couple of dollars, I'll give it to you. So, do you have Tuvas Hana? Tuvas Hana is Machlokas, whether I have the ability to curry favor with one person, maybe even to get a few bucks from a person. When it comes to Trumos, I can decide which Kohen I want to give it to. That's called Tuvas Hana. I get a little bit of benefit of deciding who I want to give it to. Given this like Tuvas Hana, Lo Mahanya. And since I have Tuvas Hana, right? I have ownership over it. Partially, that I can decide which Ani I want to give it to. Lo Mahanya. You can't be benefit. The Ani can't benefit from it, right? And this woman, she is not getting financial benefit from the brios. She can't collect Meiser Ani because there's Tuvas Hana. She's benefiting financially, because he's giving it to her. Amanda Amra Eno Koreshim. According to Blazer, it's Eno Koreshim. Because some of our Sveko, Tovel. Sveko is not Tovel. Savik, specifically by Meiser Ani, is not Tovel. Because Sveko Eno Tovel, they say Tuvas Hana. Therefore, right, I don't have to be Koresh Shem. I don't have Tuvas Hana. I don't have a monetary claim to it. And therefore, she's permitted. That's the Brisa. Lezer holds like the Brisa, right? And that it's allowed to benefit from it, and therefore, not only Lechet Shekapeh, also Meiser Ani, she could benefit from. I'm only Abaye, so Abaye says back to him, the Chuli Alma Sveiko Tovel. Really doesn't make sense to say anyone would say Sveiko is not Tovel. Because again, Meiser Ani is Doraisa. So something Doraisa L'chomra. Who's to say, right? What are they arguing about? Whether you have to be Koresh Shem or not. The reason he says you don't have to be Koresh Shem, if we knew that it's suffix, right? We know we're not sure if the person, the Amaretz who had it says, I'm not sure if to go through the Maestros. Something Doraisa L'chomra. You have to be Koresh Shem. And consequently, you have Tuvas Hana, and she couldn't benefit. What are they arguing about? Right, just like we said by Truma, also on a Meiser Ani, they'll take it off. Came in the Ilum Mifker Nichse having Ani V'Shakale who lays like Pseida. The reason that we're not concerned, even though let's say Meiser Rishon or Trumas Meiser, they might not have taken off. or Meiser Sheni. However, Meiser Ani they can take off because what can they do? Any Amaris can just, for a second, he'll just relinquish ownership over his entire property, the entire assets. And therefore, he'll become a poor person and he can take the Meiser Ani for himself. So therefore, he has no problem taking off Meiser Ani. Rabban and Savri, no one would ever do this. The Mir says, the second that I relinquish all my assets, someone else could take it. Therefore, we're concerned they didn't take off Meiser Ani. Rava Amar, Rava says, Rava gives a different answer. That's a biased answer. Rava says, Kana Meiser Ani hamischalik b'hil habayis, techsiva bein nasina. How do you resolve the two the Bryce and the Mishnah? The Mishnah says she can't benefit from a Meiser Ani, and the Bryce says she could benefit from a Meiser Ani. So talking about two different cases of Meiser Ani, right? When does the person who owns the crop take off Meiser Ani? If you take it off, he brings all the crops into his house, and he takes the Meiser Ani in his house. That's called Nasina, and Asata Levi Lager, right? Giving it, he's giving it, right? As we mentioned, Sveiko is Tovel. We don't have to talk about anymore about Demai. We're not even talking about Demai anymore, right? The two Bryces only talk about Demai, even though your body didn't take off Meiser Ani. When you give it to him in the house, so therefore Asrle, because he's giving it to her, therefore she can't benefit. When Meiser Ani is separated in the threshing house, came in the technically, if someone takes Meiser Ani in the threshing floor, so therefore he's mafkir at that point. If he is not mafkir, or no one took it in the threshing floor, then he brings it to his house, so then he is giving it to somebody. When you give it to somebody, you're helping, you're benefiting them financially over here. So therefore, since you're benefiting them financially, so therefore it would be usher to benefit from it. And there Mishnah is talking about when Meiser Ani is given out in the house, once he comes to his house. And the Brisa was talking about where it's taken in the Beis Agronos, in the threshing floor, and therefore there's no hana, there's no financial benefit from it, so it's okay to take Meiser Ani. We'll stop here. That's the conclusion of today's share. Stay tuned for Iyun with Ben Sion, where we talk more. The Gemara is Maskana, really, when it comes to Safik Meiser Ani. Sveiko is Tova. Sveiko is Tova. It makes sense. Safik Doraisa L'chor. Meiser Ani is Doraisa. So therefore, it makes sense. The Gemara Havamina, they were arguing about whether Safik Meiser Ani of the Mai, is it Tovel or is it not Tovel? And then the Gemara says, Abaye says, no, everyone agrees Safik is Tovel. What changed from the Havamina to the Maskana? If you want to find out the answer to that question, stay tuned for Ian with Ben Sion coming up next.